Welcome to Biztech's Enterprise Technology Show. Hi, I'm Brian Fernandez, and today on the show, we're going to talk about how AI and data innovation is transforming the travel and hospitality industry. Now, to bring an expert lens to the conversation, we have Whitnee Hawthorne. She's the global head of travel and hospitality at Snowflake. Snowflake Inc. is an American cloud-based data storage company headquartered in Montana, and it operates a platform that allows for data analysis and simultaneous access of data sets with minimal latency. Now, the company has over 10,000 customers globally, including over 800 plus customers from the Forbes Global 2000. Now, to tell us more, Whitnee, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, great to have you on. Now, Whitnee, for a start, could you tell us a little bit more about Snowflake and your role within the company?
Yeah, so Snowflake really makes enterprise AI efficient and trusted, and it also provides an amazing platform to house and utilize your data. And my role is essentially translating how not only Snowflake, but the ecosystem that we encompass, which we call our travel and hospitality AI data cloud, how that translates into business value, whether it's increasing revenue, reducing costs, or even creating a better employee experience, improving a customer experience. I help folks understand how to make that happen.
Okay, now we're in 2025 now. What are some of the key challenges and concerns that are dominating the conversations of leaders in the travel and hospitality space globally?
Yes, there are quite a few, and I think a lot of them are equally weighty or equally important, equally challenging to kind of think through and understand, don't have the same easy answers. But if I narrowed it down to two, especially within travel and hospitality, one is the sheer volume of data required to effectively operate a travel and hospitality company, right? Because you're not just talking about the data that is within the company itself. You're talking oftentimes about partner data, about third-party data that you need to pull together in an efficient and effective way to be able to actually make sense of the data, turn that data into insights that then you can action. And the second challenge that I'm seeing a lot of is really this idea of everyone is super hot on generative AI. We're going to do something generative AI. Let's get generative AI into our work plan and into our vision for 2025. Unfortunately, a lot of companies have missed the step of first recognizing that they need to cleanse their data, have a strong data platform to feed that AI, because AI is only as good as the data that's feeding it. And so, garbage in, garbage out, it's a bit of a cliche saying, but it's very, very real. So you can't have anything great, like you really cannot have anything great that is generative AI without data. And I'm seeing a lot of, we haven't paid enough attention to our data to date, and now we're behind or unable to actually leverage some of what, actually not even any of what generative AI has to offer.
And that's an interesting, which leads me then to my next question. So travel and hospitality, it's all about customer experience. It's all about operational efficiency. So then AI, talking about not skipping the steps, focusing on the basics, how is AI reshaping customer experiences and operational efficiency?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of really fascinating use cases come together that ultimately for you and me as everyday travelers are making our experiences better, and also making those experiences better for the employees who help to support us right during our travel time, whether it's that person behind the front desk at the hotel, or the in-flight attendant, or even the driver of the car that's picking you up, right? AI is helping in a lot of these cases. A lot of the cases I've seen are really on that frontline customer experience. So being able to, for example, share with a customer that their plane will be delayed. And not only will it be delayed, because you kind of get that SMS now, right? You're going to get a text message from an airline saying, hey, your flight, your 2:15 flight is now at 3:15. But being able to explain why, which takes a lot of the stress out of the travel experience. So imagine you're getting a text message or an SMS or an email that says, hey, your 2:15 flight is delayed till 3:15 due to weather. The plane is in the air and it's expected to land at 2:45. That is a lot more reassuring to me than not knowing why, right? Because I'm going to start thinking, well, is it a machine issue? Is it a crew issue? Is there something wrong with the airport? Is there something wrong with the plane that I'm about to get on, right? You don't know. And so being able to kind of explain that to folks is really, I think, important and a great customer experience. We're also seeing a lot of personalization start to happen from a customer experience standpoint, leveraging AI. And so that experience really allows companies to speak to you as the person that you are and to address you in the situation as the person that you are. Let me tell you what I mean a little bit more in detail. So like, hi, I'm Whitney. I am, as you said, Brian, the global head of travel and hospitality at Snowflake. And I travel a lot for my job. I am also a mom to two littles and a wife. And I'm a girlfriend, like, I've got my friends who are girls, and I'm a daughter. And sometimes I travel with my mom and take her on trips. Sometimes I travel with my family, and sometimes I travel with my friends. And again, I travel for work. In all of those instances, I'm the same person, but I have very different needs and very different drivers. To date, it's been very difficult to address me as who I am in that moment, which kind of entity of Whitney is showing up to the plane, to the car, to the hotel. And so you find a lot of the marketing, right, that happens, a lot of the loyalty programs that are developed, and a lot of the experiences that are offered based on the sum of me. And that results in looking at, okay, are you an elite member in our loyalty program? Are you not an elite member in our loyalty program? Are you traveling for business? Or are you traveling personal? And then experiences can be created around that. In today's world, with generative AI, you can actually, as a hotel, as an airline, as a cruise company, as a tourism board, understand who I am, why I'm traveling, and then be able to address my needs specifically. So if I'm traveling with my family, I may not want an upgrade, but I may want access to the lounge. If I'm traveling alone for business, I probably do want that upgrade. If I'm traveling with my husband, I definitely want that upgrade, right? If I am going to, that's on the plane. If I'm going to the hotel and I am traveling with my family, I'm going to be interested in very different activities than I would if I'm traveling with my girlfriends or with my husband, right? And so for a company to understand that and then be able to make those offers to me makes me not only feel seen, but also encourages me to spend more with you because you're offering me things that I actually truly want in that moment. So that's another kind of great use case that we're seeing in this realm of hyper-personalization that AI allows.
Now, Whitney, this is really interesting because what you've just done in the last couple of minutes is really highlight the need for investment in generative AI. Because if I'm an owner of a travel company and a large travel company in Asia and I'm very successful, I've had personalization tools for over 20 years in different ways. However, we've not been able to do it to the level that you've just described in terms of your actual specific journey use cases and so forth. That's going to get me out there, all excited because my customer is going to invest more in me and spend more money. And really, that's what it's, again, from an enterprise perspective, as a business, a board member, I want to see how my IT investments translate into then increased revenues. Perhaps you could give us some examples of how Snowflake has helped some of your customers increase their revenues and increase their efficiencies.
Yeah, so exactly what you said, in today's travel market, just taking from a revenue driving perspective, personalization isn't just a nice to have, it's becoming the key differentiator. And that means customers are going to start to expect it, which means customers are going to choose those companies, travelers are going to choose those companies who can offer that personalized experience. They will no longer be satisfied with generic experiences. And what happens then in turn is when you're able to offer these experiences, they will in fact book with you more. than they will with others. We have a customer right now, Hyatt. It's a hotel, a global chain, and they're doing something really interesting. They're using Snowflake to instantly understand their guest preferences across all of their hotels. And we're talking about everything from preferred room temperature to favorite breakfast items, which helps them to create a perfect personalized stay. So imagine, right, I'm in the hotel and you can say to me when I am on my business trip, right, I have a great scrambled egg, high protein, healthy breakfast for you. Would you like me to send it up to your room? Versus when I'm traveling as a mom with kids, hey, we've got a pancake French toast special going on. Do you want me to send that up to your room, right? Understanding that will drive incremental revenue for your company. Other things that we're seeing, and I'm going to switch gears a little bit, is to talk about the
Mhm.
operational side with the ability to really leverage generative AI, but also just simple old regular AI and ML to get better at predictive analytics, which allows you to operate much more efficiently from a staffing perspective, saving costs, but ensuring that customer experience, right? Because being understaffed is a problem, as is being overstaffed, right?
Mhm.
It also lets you get better. Those predictive analytics can get you better understanding what your occupancy is going to be like if you're a hotel. We have a major hotel brand today who is a global hotel brand who's leveraging Snowflake to improve their no-show rates. So they're able to much better predict what the no-show rate will be for their hotel, which allows them to both avoid overbooking, but also be much more effective and efficient in discounting rooms to get them filled, right? Into creating promotions around the rooms. Another really kind of interesting thing that we are seeing is, and this is a really great place to start for companies who are thinking about this, is better reporting. And when I say better reporting, I mean not only reporting that encompasses data from myriad of from many different places that you couldn't pull it from before, but also that you can get that reporting a lot more quickly. Imagine rather than having to go to a data analyst, because at an executive level, I used to be the chief customer officer at a company, and I would, in the middle of the night sometimes, but sometimes, at a normal business hour, think to myself, I wonder what was the most effective campaign that we ran last year. Or I'm starting to think about staffing, right? Right now, we're in January, and so it's the winter, and I'm curious, and I want to know more about kind of what were our staffing levels last year compared to the weather, right? I worked for a travel management company, so weather and staffing go hand in hand. What was that like
Mhm.
last year? What are the predictions coming up for this year? Rather than having to ask an analyst to update a dashboard, imagine being able to just go in and type into your computer or even on your phone that question and get the response, get the dashboard automatically updated. That allows you as a leader to make much better decisions much more quickly without having to wait, right? You get more real-time decision making so you can get ahead of your competition without having to wait for that analyst to actually pull the report for you. And it also frees up that analyst to do more strategic things across the company. And so this kind of, I guess, democratization of data is a direct driver in both increasing revenue as well as reducing cost.
Now, Whitney, I'm going to wear the hat now of a CEO of a trade promotion board for a country. How can Snowflake help me? Because you mentioned that as an example of some of your customers. How can they help me? How can you help me?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it makes me think about one of our customers, Sentosa Development Corporation. So Sentosa Island is in Singapore, and I guess most people who are in APAC would be familiar with them. I've stayed there. It's great location. And they're leveraging Snowflake to implement a data-driven recommendation engine for their e-commerce platform, right? And that I think translate when I think about tourism boards, because what needs to go into this? It needs to go in an understanding of where people are spending, what activities they are participating in, how frequently they're participating in these activities across various partners. So being able to pull all of that information together to then say, hey, we know what our travelers are interested in, and we can ensure the availability of those experiences. We know, right? Because scraping social media is a part of it, to understand what they've been happy with and what they're not happy with and where we need to improve, which which vendors, which partners, which experiences are not working for them and which ones are, right? So we can double down on that. And it also allows you to then kind of create a dashboard that helps different customers or your partners, I guess, come together. So imagine being able to say, hey, restaurant X, we see that before dinner, people are always at this bar having a cocktail, likely at a bar, and then they come to your restaurant. And actually, after they leave your restaurant, 10% of them are going to this movie theater, 30% of them are going to this to this kind of walkabout area. 40% of them are heading back to their hotel. Being able to explain to your partners, here's what people are doing, helps those partners to then create a more seamless experience for the customers as they show up.
That's fascinating. Now, I want to ask you then, I think it's quite clear in terms of the opportunities of implementation, but what are the key challenges facing companies in adopting AI? And how do you help companies to address these issues while at the same time focusing on helping them driving innovation?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. I think one of the biggest challenges is just knowing where to start. Where do you start in this journey? Because it can feel so broad and so big. And so that's one of the things that we're really good at is helping our customers understand what would be the best place for them to start their data journey. I guess actually first is identifying where in kind of the data maturity scale you are, whether you're at the very beginning, which is usually meaning your data is very siloed and on-prem and you need to migrate it to the cloud, all the way through. Next step would really be around predictive analytics, then using AI and ML, then using generative AI, and then having a full ecosystem. And so being able to help you identify where you are in this path, and then what you need to do, what would be the best use cases for you to start with, is something that we're really good at doing at Snowflake. And one of the things that I have found extremely helpful with our customers is when they think, okay, I really want to start, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. Or we've got a little bit going on in our data department, but we're resource strapped. We're not exactly sure if we have the right people in place to do this work, or the people we have in place don't have the bandwidth to do it, is taking a look at our ecosystem. So I mentioned our AI data cloud before, and I just want to be very clear about what that is because it can feel very like woo-woo. Um,
Yes.
the AI data cloud for me is really comprised of three parts, three very high level parts. On one side, you have the customers. On the other side, you have the first, second, and third party data that sits on Snowflake. And in the middle, you have everything that makes that data useful. That's large language models. It is service integration partners. It's applications. It's really anything that is helping to make that data useful. So one of the things that we are able to do is identify for our customers what they need to make that data useful, and whether it's something that Snowflake itself helps to build, or we provide direction to your internal team to build, or a partner that we offer you, a partner that we put you in connection with, or an application, a native app that already exists on our site that you can then leverage, or pre-written code that you can leverage, right? We match you with those things so that you can leverage the data on that first use case as quickly, efficiently, and safely as possible.
Now, Whitney, we've focused very much on the enterprise, but we've actually not talked about how this actually influences the customer and how AI-driven predictive planning tools are changing the way travel itineraries are crafted. Could you give us some insights through your global experience, what's really happening in that space?
In the space of kind of travel itinerary creation, what we're seeing is a lot of really, really smart bots start to support customers, start to support individual travelers. And so, up until recently, I would say there has just been a general consensus that bots are bad. They're not helpful. They're very frustrating. And over the last couple of years, they've started to get better. What we're seeing now is a very fast evolution of those bots, leveraging generative AI, where they can put together an itinerary for you, alter an itinerary based on native language, meaning you can just type in, I have next Friday free and would like to go someplace where I can enjoy the beach with my family. And what you can get back then is a full itinerary of options. Well, it looks like based on the location you're in, I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, I'm in McDonough, Georgia. It's just south of Atlanta, but no one has heard of McDonough, so I say Atlanta. But based on the location you're in, you could fly to Bermuda in 3 hours. And, there are flights between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., which would put you on the ground at noon. You'd have all of Friday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, and then you could come back on Sunday. Here's a list of all the activities that you could do during those times. Or you could take a road trip to Savannah, Georgia, which is a 3-hour drive from you. That will also put you at the beach. And here's a list of hotels and activities and things you can do. Or you could take they can go so far to say, or if you're willing to leave Thursday night, you could go to California and experience the beach in California. And here's a list of all the things that you could do, which is really great to be able to type that in. You could just respond and say, you know what, I really like this idea of driving to Savannah. And I've got random questions that normally I couldn't ask. How much will it cost in gas? What are the good stops along the way? Is there anything I should consider related to events happening in Savannah right now? Right? You can start to ask these questions, really build that full picture. And we're getting to the place, this is not as common yet, but we are really getting to that place where the next thing you'll be able to do is say, that trip sounds awesome. I love it. Book it for me. And have your hotel, your flight, everything booked by the bot itself.
And that's incredible. Now, moving ahead, what are some key trends that you're seeing in AI that it's going to shape travel and hospitality in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a really great question. So some of the trends that I'm seeing is we just talked a lot about customer experience and leveraging AI for customer experience and making the customer experience better. I think one of the things that we're really going to start to see moving into, actually just in 2025, now that we're here, is a focus on leveraging generative AI and regular old AI and ML for operational use, to start to get much more effective and efficient in our operational planning using predictive analytics, like we did talk about a little bit, as well as kind of anomaly detection and other ways to leverage that data causality to understand how we can make our businesses more efficient. Another trend that we're starting to see and will continue is this idea of hyper-personalization, being able to really dig into who is Brian and why is he traveling today and what are his needs, to the point of, even if it is business travel, your needs on your outbound trip heading to that big business meeting are very different than your needs after the business meeting, right? And so being able to address you in that way. Another trend that we are starting to see is this idea of really starting to think about not just generative AI, but I think we're going to start to see people, I don't want to say fall back, but actually take that look at what are the effective AI and ML capabilities that we need. Because there was a bit of a jump from nothing to generative AI. It's on everyone's lips. AI and ML have been around for a while. So taking a step of, oh, is it really generative AI that we need to solve this problem, or is it AI and ML? And then I think the last thing we're going to see specifically within travel and hospitality, and this will take not just this year, it's going to be kind of going into the next couple of years, is this true, just like we kind of talked about true hyper-personalization, is a true seamless journey, where all the parts of your journey as a traveler are linked together. And when you have that flight delay, you as the traveler no longer have to worry about what happens to my hotel, what happens to my rental car, what happens to my dinner or my theater reservation. All of that starts to be taken care of through a very real, seamless, fully integrated travel experience.
And Whitney, this has been a fascinating conversation. I've learned a lot. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
Yeah, the final thought I will leave you with is this. We are at a very pivotal place in travel and hospitality when it comes to the impact that data and AI will have on our industry. And when I say pivotal place, now is the time where those disruptors and differentiators are making their mark. And if you are not it's not going away, right? So if you are not actively investing in, not only thinking about, but taking action on leveraging your data in a better way and starting to integrate these AI and ML capabilities as well as generative AI functionality, then one of two things will likely happen to your business. It's not doom and gloom, right? Because we're not there yet, but one of two things will likely happen. Either your business will just have to follow the path, right? You won't be the first, you won't be the driver, you won't be shaping the market, or your business will be replaced. And so I think that is not, I don't mean it again to be like this very cautionary thing. It's more of a, now is the time. So if you aren't taking action on these things, do it, because it's not too late. But you're never too soon, because this is not going away. So that would be the last thing I would leave folks with, is just, if you're not paying attention to asking questions about, looking for insights, and then taking action on how your company is leveraging data and generative AI, please do. Please start, because that is what is really going to help make sure that your company not only exists in the future, but can also be a leader for your industry.
Now, Whitney, on that note, thank you very much for taking your time to be on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Now, we've been speaking to Whitney Hawthorne. She's the Global Head of Travel and Hospitality at Snowflake. I'm Brian Fernandez, and you've been watching and listening to Biztech's Enterprise Technology Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our social media platforms. It'll also be on our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.